Hi, I'm Norman Liss, and the name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me as we explore places to go and things to do. We're going to be exploring antiques today, and it's in connection with an antique show that will be at the Westchester County Center in September. And I'm delighted to have as my guest today the president of the Antique Dealers Association of America, John Russell. And John, we're going to learn all about antiques today, but before we get into the subject of the show and before we get into what antiques are and how to collect and how sophisticated you have to be, how old does something have to be, or a person have to be, before it's can be considered an antique?
Well, Norman, I think that the general guideline that was established years ago that something should be 100 years of age before it's considered an antique has broadened tremendously.
That's a relief to me that 100 years is okay.
You couldn't have an antique car?
That's correct. That's an interesting point, yeah. So it was original concept was 100 years, and now what is...
I think that was just the government of the United States wish things to be 100 years old before you could import them as antique.
So there are some regulations that are involved in that.
Exactly.
But what is it today? In your experience, you're a dealer. How do you determine what is an antique that people want?
What people want is mostly guesswork. But what an antique is, what qualifies something as an antique, in my specialty, which is American furniture, generally is something made prior to the Industrial Revolution, something that was made prior to 1845, something made by hand, something that a craftsman, a cabinet maker would involve himself in, without the aid of machinery. This would be a labor of hand.
Is that an overall standard, or is that your standard? So you made some categories there that it's made by hand by a craftsman. Is that the standard for any antique?
No, because I think that there are things that were made sometimes by accident, by artisans or homeowners that have found their way into the appreciation of collectors.
Not mass-produced is a good category to say. If it has to be something that is made individually.
Well, there are no regulations here. Nothing has to be. One of the major collectibles or antique collectibles are porcelains and pottery. And these were certainly made, though by hand, they were mass-produced, even on an assembly line. And it makes them no less collectible or valuable or antique.
So let's get to that key word that you talked about a moment ago. You said valuable. Why do people collect antiques? Do they collect them for the beauty? Do they collect them for the value? Why?
They used to collect them for their beauty. I think the relative value that these objects have acquired is new, certainly within our lifetime. I think that during the last decade, things were collected for their value or their possibility of value. The concept of instant collectible, buying something today that's being produced today on a limited basis, hoping that tomorrow or next week it will have increased value, was a concept of the 80s. Tangibles that would increase in value. The idea of investing with antiques became maybe even prevalent.
So you buy something that is an antique, and you buy it for investment reasons. You buy it because it has value and future value. Then what do you do with it? If it's a piece of furniture, you can't sit on it. If it's a chair, you can't use it. If it's a table, you can't use it to serve coffee on. So is there a quality there of preserving the value of an antique once you bought it?
Well, I would disagree. I would say that I buy things for investment purposes, and I wouldn't suggest to others that they do that. I don't think that that is the primary reason one should be involved in the antique market. I think that the joy of owning these things and acquiring them and coming to understand and appreciate them is more important than their value.
How do you get to understand and appreciate? I know people will say, we're going antiquing, and I really don't know what that means. That means going from antique dealers to antique dealers and looking for things, but I do not understand it. So how does one get to appreciate antiques?
Well, I think that in my case, I came to appreciate them by accident. I saw them. I grew up in a family that collected, though, things that weren't interesting to me. My parents collected European art and antiques.
Mm-hmm.
I found that I was intrigued by American furniture by accident, and I pursued it. I read a bit. I acquired a few pieces, and I found for myself that when I was writing a check to pay for an object, I had an increased awareness of what I was doing, what I was involving myself in, and it made me pay a lot of attention to this object. And I think a lot of us are acquisitory by nature, and I began to enjoy collecting. And I was a collector before I was a dealer. And I never thought about the fact that these things that I was buying would even hold value.
You use the term collecting. Is collecting antiques just a phase of collecting of anything, whether it be stamps or baseball cards?
It can be. So but I would think
acquiring for beauty, acquiring for investment. These are all terms that are used by collectors of anything, from butterfly nets to stuffed ducks, I suppose,
or trains, or
yes.
There are many areas, and people enjoy collecting, and I think that antiques is just an aspect of that pursuit.
And again, I'm looking to define antiques. You talk about antiques in furniture, which is the area that you're interested in. So how does one define and what is an antique as opposed to, I suppose there are antique trains and antique toys and antique dolls and all of those. And what's the difference between antiquing and collecting?
Well, I think nothing. I don't think that either is exclusive of the other. I think that collecting is the process of acquiring antiques or currently manufactured objects. I think that when we talk about things that are no longer in production, mm-hmm. Some of the older trains, the dolls, mm-hmm. the baseball cards of our youth, I think that there's a certain process that we involve ourselves in that allows us to enjoy this and to remember, to make special. Now, yeah. I was not alive when the objects that I deal in were created and used, though to go back to something you were saying before about what we do with them, I live in an antique home. I sit on antique chairs. I eat on antique tables. I put my feet up on them. I enjoy them.
Decreasing their value?
No. There are certain pieces of antique furniture that are no longer serviceable. But I think that if one uses a modicum of care, their use should never, ever be excluded from the equation of ownership. I mean, some of these pieces are art objects, but yeah. I think that you do them a disservice not to employ them.
You mentioned other items like porcelain items. If you have those, do you put them in a case where nobody can touch them, where they'll be displayed? How does one display that type of antique?
Well, we're getting a little away from my area of mm-hmm. understanding, but my wife does collect in this area, and I know that from time to time we use these things simply because the non-use allows, I believe, porcelain to become brittle over time.
Well.
So once or twice a year. They're all used and washed and what have you.
Now, the Antique Dealers Association of America, are there specialists within your membership who specialize in different types of antiques, or are a lot of them generalists?
I would say by the most part, are all specialists. There are very few general line dealers in the ADA.
And what kind of specialties, just to get an idea of what the categories are?
Paintings, folk art, pewter, furniture, of course. And at our present membership, which is, I believe, 92 members, I'd say the majority, though, is in American furniture. We have 3 members that deal in Oriental rugs.
Now, the show, which is going to be at the Westchester County Center, the dates in early September. What are the specific dates?
10th and 11th.
September 10th and 11th. Now, you're going to have some 50 dealers there from this whole area?
Well, from the United States.
From the United States.
Exactly. 48 dealers.
48 dealers, and showing, I suppose, the categories that you just mentioned.
Exactly.
And most of them would be furniture. Are most collectors of antiques or purchasers of antiques people who buy furniture? Is that the largest category?
No, I think that when we say the majority, we could have 27 dealers, and we'd have the majority of the dealers deal in furniture.
Right.
But we will have, hopefully, we will have all areas covered. And I think that at the moment, the most aggressive area of collecting in American antiques is in folk art.
It is. Is that a new phase, or is this something that's new, or has this gone on for a long time?
It's gone on for a long time, but there have been several major collections that have come to be offered to the retail market lately. There has been a 2-part sale that is going on in New York at Sotheby's, the Nina Fletcher Little sales.
That kind of leads me into another point. Are new antiques, there's a switch, are new antiques become available because of people whose collections then become sold for whatever reason? Yes,
there is a constant flow of new material to the market, though I would say that today we're witnessing a trickle to 10 years ago's river.
So where do the other antiques come from? The antiques that you and the other dealers are making available, are they from people who are turning over their collections?
There has always been a supply due to the passing of people. We saw a phenomena in the last decade of things becoming available due to divorce. There are continually the odd objects popping up at the odd place at the odd time. I mean, there's never a day in this business that you can get up and say, I'm going to go there and buy this to do that. You never know.
You never know.
Never.
That's probably part of the fascination. I just want to make a point and tell our audience that my guest today is John Russell, who is the president of the Antique Dealers Association of America, and we're talking today about antiques in general and specifically about the antique show that will be held at the County Center in Westchester County in September. So what does one do? What does one, like myself, who has never collected antiques, where does one start? Do you go to yard sales and flea markets? Or do you go to an antique show and take a look at what's available and find what you like and start buying?
Well, I think that the first thing one should do is not go out and start buying. I think the first thing someone should do is to go to the antique dealer, to go to the antique show, to go to the antique auction, where they can look at and handle and ask questions about the materials being offered to determine what they like, what is involved in all of this, what it will cost. And all of this information is available to the public for free. I mean, they can go to the dealer and ask how much that is and why and what other material like it is on the market. And They can do the same at the auction house, which has, always the...
Do you find from your experience that the people who come to you know what they're looking for? Or they just browse and find things that they like?
No, at my gallery, they usually know what they're looking for because I specialize. People don't just drop in. But I've had good customers come and spend time looking at my objects for years before ever buying. And I have the same customers today that I had when I opened 15 years ago.
You have to learn to have a lot of patience then in your dealership.
Well,
so one of the problems that someone, whether they be experienced or not, is how do you know that what you're looking at and what you're told is authentic? How do you know that it really is that is not an imitation or a counterfeit or whatever term is used within the industry?
I think that, and this has been a problem within the industry for generations, I think that one has to, if you don't know, one has to rely on people that do know to help them. In the capacity that we've put together here, we've put together this show in White Plains,
yes.
And it is a show that differs from others in its format, in that we have instituted a process called vetting. It's a process developed by the English and is commonplace there and in Europe in antique shows, where each object is examined by a panel of experts and deemed to be what it is.
So anything that's going to be shown there has been...
Everything.
Everything
Yes.
is authenticated by outside experts, so someone just couldn't come in and show something. It has to...
Everything must be examined. Plus, each dealer selling each object must guarantee that object as to age, condition, and authenticity. Absolutely.
You mentioned that if you don't know, then you have to work with someone who is reliable.
You don't have to, but I would suggest.
But how do you? How does a layman know? If you take a look at a chair, if I take a look at a chair, what is it? What do I look for to know that it's authentic? What does the expert know?
Well, I think that it's a fair question that you could ask the expert. How can I know? What determines that this is old? What do you look for? And I think most experts would answer a novice's question like that honestly and explain to them that there are these features that we look for.
So give me for instance. What's a feature that I would look for in a chair?
I think probably the easiest feature to discuss with someone is the condition of finish, which on something 100 years old is something that is easily recognizable as old. Though frauds can be perpetrated, they are easy to detect, reasonably easy to detect.
And what else? Fabric?
Well, fabric on upholstered pieces is not part of the value. Matter of fact, on an old wing chair, if one is selling it, usually they'll remove the fabric to display the carcass. I mean, the actual frame is what you're buying.
So why do I have the feeling we're talking about animals? We're talking about vetting and carcass.
Well,
so you're not buying the fabric. You're buying the construction, the design, the construction. Actually,
yes. I mean, we are. As American antique dealers, and are often criticized by English and European dealers, overly concerned with authenticity. I mean, we take great pains to find things that are pure, where the standards here are different than in Europe. A replaced leg on a chair is a major problem. It does not make the chair unsaleable, but it distinctly and adversely affects its value.
The subject of value keeps coming up. So if someone does have an antique, do they sell it? Do they turn over their collections? You talk about estates coming into the marketplace because of deaths and divorces, but is there a turnover within antique collecting?
Oh, yes.
You hold something for a year or 10 years and then decide to sell it?
Or upgrade. I mean, you might have a chair and you find a better example. So instead of having 2 chairs in your collection, you only wish to have the better example. Then the sale of the lesser example becomes necessary.
What are the greatest reasons for people selling what they have, making available what they have? Upgrading is one.
It's hard to deal in standards because individuals collect, and each individual has a different reason to collect and places different values on his collections. There are people that wish to be buried with their collections. And there are others that if the slightest chance of profit is offered, will be happy to sell the collection.
Do most people feel the way you do about, sure, come on and sit in the chairs, put your feet up on the table? I know people who buy a white rug and tell you to take off your shoes before you come into the house. Do people feel, from your experience, that collecting antiques turns their place into a museum, or do they remain livable?
I think most knowledgeable collectors buy antiques to enhance their quality of living. And when you've got to remove parts of your apparel to walk or sit or enjoy, I think you're not fulfilling the design of the collection. So I would think not. I don't think that.
I've been in some homes, or I've heard of some homes where they collect various antiques, and it just dominates the house. The walls of the rooms are loaded with. They're certainly not sparsely decorated. They're loaded with many types of things. The walls are covered. Once you get into this, and once you get the, pardon the expression, the bug, does that mean that you have to move to a larger house?
I've seen it happen. I've also seen people collect, as you speak, and even to greater extremes, where they would go out each weekend and come home with a truckload of things and just stack it. So literally you can no longer walk in the home. And this is in furniture. Just stacked. Basement, attic, bedroom, stacked.
Why? Why do people buy if they can't put it on display? If they buy things that they love, then...
To have them. Just to have them.
It's just knowing that they have them, not value?
I don't know. I mean, I own some things that I place particular value on, whether I see them or not. They're things in my closet from my youth that have been there for 20 years, and I would never part with them. And I just want them. Mm-hmm. They mean something to me, and it's a personal expression. And I think most collections are personal expressions.
There's so much information, and of course we're not going to be able to cover everything in the time we have, but I do want to give people the opportunity to be able to telephone to get more information about the show and perhaps about antiques, and perhaps we can give them your telephone number so that people can call you and find out more about the details about exactly how to get to the show and what they're going to see there. Could we give them that number now?
Certainly. In South Salem, the number is 914-763-8144.
And let's repeat that just in case someone didn't have a pen handy.
914-763-8144.
And we'll put that telephone number in the closing credits just in case anybody missed it at the moment. I want to go back to the show. In addition to the fact that you're going to be open for 2 days, what are the hours, by the way?
On Saturday, the hours are 10 to 8, and on Sunday, 12 to 5.
There is also going to be something else going on there that you might want to talk about to help people in their knowledge.
Certainly. In previous years, we've had lectures and slide exhibitions, but what we're going to be doing this year is a loan exhibit based on examples of antiques that the membership of ADA will be displaying, and where we're going to differ in this exhibit is that it's going to be a test, a quiz, if you will. Each item will be labeled as to its age, its origin, and its condition. And there will be something in every piece that is erroneously labeled. And it won't be they won't be trick questions, if you will, but it'll be informative.
And a blatant error. Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll be something that people coming to the show will enjoy.
And so they'll be able to learn something while they're taking a test.
I hope so. It'd be nice.
Let's talk about there are very obviously several classifications of collectors. There are people who know nothing about antiques. There are people who do buy antiques on a small scale, and there are those who have storerooms or houses where they just stack because they like the possessions. Is there any advice that you can give to people in any of these categories about how they can do better on what they're doing? Just pick your category if you like.
Well, I think that if there was some elemental advice I would give somebody, it would be to deal with professionals who will guarantee their work, that will share information, and I would in the beginning resist the natural impulse just to acquire, and I would go slowly.
And I suppose for the people who have those truckloads stacked in their living room, the same advice holds true. Go slowly.
No. To those people, I would suggest that they call the number that I gave earlier and offer to sell some of that material back to me.
Well, that's a very good line to end on, because we have run out of time, and I thank you very much for joining us today. My guest today has been John Russell, who is the president of the Antique Dealers Association of America, and we've been talking about the show at the White Plains County Center, which will be coming up in September. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. Until next time, enjoy yourself.